Hi, Sachit. Good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hi Gaurav, I am in great shape.
Thank you so much for joining in today. We welcome you to the podcast of Joy of Performing, and we really are looking forward to have this conversation. So, Sachit, before we start, why don't we give you a chance to really introduce yourself to the audience? I've been very inspired by your story and the way you have turned around the business in the past. And I really enjoyed our conversation around it. I think with some context there and how culture played a point will be great because that kind of stems up what the topic that we're going to discuss is how culture plays a point in business, turnaround, and growth. So over to you, Sachin.
Okay, just to tell you about a little bit about myself, I'm somebody who've always enjoyed life, enjoyed happiness, and it enjoyed a bit of adventure. So that's me. And as far as growing up, my father on the railways grew up in various cities. As the father got transferred around, did the typical middle class bureaucrat son's journey. Went to IIT Delhi, went to IIM Ahmedabad, got a job with Hindustan Lever as a management trainee, and then my life changed, and I ended up in Vardhman Group. So suddenly one day I was a management trainee in Hindustan Lever, and then next day I woke up as executive director of Vardhman Textiles. The result happened because I got happened to get married to Suchita, my wife now of 35 years, who's and my father-in-law is the chairman and managing director of Vardhman Textiles, and I run the steel company now. I was a textile earlier, and for the last 16 years I've been running the steel company. So I'm the CMD of Vardhman Special Steels.
Lovely. And this, shift from being a trainee to the executive director, and then, being in the textile industry where you had no maybe background of that, and now getting into steel. I mean, it's been a few years now, and you have created a massive business around that. So, how did you go from one space to another without getting any prior knowledge, and what was it like? Maybe that story would be helpful.
Sure. So basically, all depends on what are your core beliefs, and they depend on your upbringing, your childhood, and your experiences as you grow up. So I figured out by the time I finished my MBA that I enjoyed people. I enjoyed the theory of the concept of happiness, that I wanted to be happy and spread happiness. Beyond that, I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
So, and if I look at this has been the core theme through my levers days. I was there in Hindustan Lever for a little over a year, and I had got some record performance and so on. So I got independent charge in six months. Normally it takes over a year. So I was area manager. I got a stint as area manager of Odessa. So I had a great time there. And similarly, the same thing I did in Vardhaman Textile. We got a new project to run. It was a little behind time at that time, delayed, and I just created this thing of culture. Culture is all about, basically it depends on culture is how you deal with people, how people behave, what is the norm. Rules may be anything, but how you behave is the important thing. A couple of things from my early days I would share is my biggest thing was how do I get accepted as a 25-year-old executive director who's come in as a boss, just 1 year experience in levers and sales, and here I was setting up a textile factory. So we were sitting at remote areas of Baddi in Himachal, and there was no STD at that time. The youngsters today who are used to immediate WhatsApp calls will not even know what an STD was, and you had so you were cut off also in Baddi. We had to go through two rivers to reach the place. There were no bridges, so cars went through the rivers, and you're a remote area. And I think the best thing I did was in the evening when leaving, anybody waiting at the gate, I would just pile on in my car. So
Hmm.
because public transportation was difficult, so everybody had to struggle to reach office and get back to office. And at times there would be six, seven people in my car.
Hmm.
Whereas the professional senior vice president before me, who was in charge of this factory before that, He would leave alone and never take anybody with him. So suddenly people saw that maybe you're from the owner family, but hey, you are more of a regular guy than the senior VP who was there earlier. Then I started a community lunch. That lunchtime everybody would separate out with their tiffins. I said, let's all have lunch together.
Hmm.
So just small things like that, and suddenly people realize that you're a normal human being. And the culture I started was having meeting with workers right from the beginning. Started a culture of having only fresh workers, no trained workers. India had the reputation at that time of bad work culture, workers are bad, low productivity, and so on. We developed and delivered highest productivities ever. So, culture is something which basically comes from the core beliefs inside that human Indian workers are good people. They are hardworking. And at that time, they all came from villages. They are God fearing. Just imagine a rural Indian worker. I'm talking about 35 years ago. God fearing, fearful of authority, hardworking. Villages at that time was a difficult existence. Poor. Now, I can understand a rich person being not hardworking, understandable. Poor person who's not hardworking,
Yeah.
I can't. So then I came to the conclusion basically it's bad managers and bad owners which create a bad culture and therefore productivity goes down.
Got it.
So the
It's very
problem
interesting.
when you put a finger ahead, three fingers are pointing at you. You are the problem. So you sort yourself out.
It's interesting you say that. I mean, there are a couple of things going on in my head, but let me first dive into this topic of people, culture, happiness, right? They all seem to be very soft words. And in the business life or in the business dictionary, they don't have a really big meaning when you get into the manufacturing side of it, at least, I
Yeah.
mean, come into IT and tech and services, things can be different. But when you're dealing with textile, I come from a manufacturing family myself. So when you deal into textile and then into steel, I mean, these words look very soft. So did you hear that from your peers at the management level or even your teams
No,
that, yeah.
no. In fact, can you believe it? I got a feedback from corporate HR because our group was already large and established at that time. Can you imagine a feedback being given to me that you are seen as too nice and too soft?
Hmm.
And this is not the way to run a textile company.
Hmm.
HR giving me a feedback. Now imagine telling a 25, 26-year-old young man that you are being too nice to your subordinates, you should treat them like shit. I said,
Yeah.
okay, if that's what you want.
Right.
I gave my team hell for 1 week.
Hmm.
I started shouting at people. I've thrown paper for shoddy work at people's face. I've done all that. Did that for a week. We got a proper
Right.
dose. After a week, I called them. I said, is this what you want? I said, "Nahi, pehle wale theek the."
Right.
So,
Right.
being nice is a choice. It's part of your nature. You can to turn shitty, to start shouting at people, to what I see around owners use abusive language towards workers, refer to them as baye. You know, uh, if you don't respect people, the basic context is do you respect human beings?
Hmm.
Everybody in front of you is a human being first. Then he is
Hmm.
a worker or a manager or a VP or an owner. So, and with workers, you just give them a little bit of respect. I imagine my first meeting with workers, they would not sit in front of me. Then I would say, I would get a crink in my neck. So please sit down or I'll stand up. So sitting down with
Hmm.
workers, just having a cup of tea with them, they were shocked. I mean, how can you? Again, I'm talking about in the 80s, in the early 90s, 90, 91, 92.
Right.
So just talking to people, just smiling at them, and people are afraid, There's a culture of
Right.
fear. You're taught to be afraid of owners and you can be dismissed anytime and all that kind of it. I was told to have security guards and armed guards and all that. I said nothing doing. We didn't even have any arms in the factory.
Hmm.
Then there was
Hmm.
a culture at that time that, okay, you could slap a worker and use a little bit of abusive language and all. I said, no way. If an officer slaps a worker, the officer loses his job.
Yeah.
Very clear. You
Yeah.
slap a worker, you lose your job. Then I said one more thing. If a worker catches your collar, even then you lose your job.
Hmm.
Then the person,
Interesting.
I was asked, I mean, an officer said, sir, somebody slaps a worker, he loses job, understandable. But a worker catches your collar and the officer loses his job. I said, please, a worker will not catch your collar. Now, you've obviously done something really oppressive that he's reacted in that way. So I go back to the cause.
Right, right. No, very interesting. You put this into perspective, right? I mean, we think that this is very easy, comes very naturally, but we'll be surprised that when we go into the work life, how much of this is ignored in reality. So yeah.
Totally, totally ignored. I mean,
Hmm.
I for a longest time in even my group, in my family also, I was seen as too soft, as too nice. He's talking about increasing salaries for people, that are people are underpaid. I would argue that a worker's wages need to be increased and so on. I would argue for a Sunday or Saturday off.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but
No, no, I get you. No, I absolutely get you. And I think I want you to highlight that experience, and I think that was very interesting when we spoke about it. That how sometimes you have to plan a reaction as well, right?
oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I want you to narrate that story. I think that was very interesting.
Absolutely. You see, anger, when I say that, you are nice and treat people nicely, you smile and you appreciate people, it's all that is nice. But anger is also a tool.
Hmm.
And it's an important management tool where people need to know that you are upset and at times that you are really angry because but the point is, you should be cool inside. It should be a tool to be used, a
Hmm.
strategy to be used. I'll give you an example, a little extreme example. I was upset with a manager's actions. I'm talking about, again, this is must be 20 years ago. And I decided a priori that I will smash a glass
Hmm.
in my office. I mean, this was decided before I called him that I will smash a
Sure.
glass. And so when he was there, he said something and all. I don't remember the details. I shouted at him and picked up the glass and smashed it the wall on the other side. So that no, I mean, it's very clear, no damage is done. It was a planned smashing of glass, but that guy went into a state of shock. He got the
Sure.
message loud and clear.
Yeah. So
And then
that's the
just
tool
ring
you
the
used, right?
yeah, it was a tool. I rang the bell, called in my peon. I said, just now to remove the glass. And that's it.
Right.
And I went on to the next meeting.
Got it.
So I'm just saying, and and let me tell you that gentleman is still there in the company, a very senior position, uh, and one of our top people today.
Yeah.
So
I hope he doesn't hear this podcast, then he would know. But so Sachit, I wanna get into a conversation where I have struggled, to understand how to do it, and maybe we can hear from you and what is your viewpoint on it. So let's say you have respect for people and you understand people, and that is how your way of leadership is, and that's the
mhm.
culture you are creating in the organization. Now at some point of time you will move on and give the leadership or the baton to someone else, right? Now how do you ensure that that culture is kept in the organization and doesn't kind of die with you moving on? So how do you make sure about that? Like, what are the tangible things that you do in order for you to keep that culture in the organization if that is so important for you?
So I would agree with you that it's tough if you are there for a short time.
Hmm.
And if you are a professional and you are doing this in your department, but this is not the belief of your bosses around you and so on, so it becomes tougher for sure because the next guy comes, he will change it.
Sure.
Now, I had the advantage that I was seen as part of the ownership structure, as well as I had a very long stint. I was 17 years in that location. 17 years of working, I could drill that culture down to the last worker.
Hmm.
And everyone knew I was accessible. And even after I left that location, I was still part of the organization and I was joint MD in the company and I would keep visiting on and off, though it was not my responsibility. And yes, after I left that role, because that was not the belief of, in my way, of the others in the organization, it did get diluted a bit. But over time, it took 10 years, 15 years. If you drill it very deep into it from inception, then to change it also takes a lot of effort.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think, I have seen monkey see, monkey do, right? So when people see you doing some behavior of day after day for a very long time. They actually pick it up and they start doing it themselves.
And we
So
are also lucky that that retention of senior management. A lot of the people who worked with me 30 years ago, 32 years ago, are all senior vice president in the company. Trainees who joined under me at that time are all at top of the organization. So a lot of the people who got personally groomed by me are still
right.
in the organization at senior positions.
No,
So
sure
that
helps
helps.
retention,
That
right?
that helps a
Sure
lot
helps
in the culture
retention.
going. And if
Absolutely.
this leads to superior performance, then people also understand that okay, hey, the performance out here is actually superior, and
Right.
ultimately performance speaks.
Right. So we run a company called Joy of Performing, and we have a software solution for that. And there is a process consulting piece as well. But I'll tell you something that outside of what we do, I think culture is absolutely behavior, and what you're saying is actually gold, because no matter what technology you bring in, if you don't care, if you don't have those values inside your organization and inside you, nothing can enable that culture. So I'm absolutely with you.
Let me give you one example of this culture. That when somebody comes to you with an idea that, okay, this is an area where we were making a mistake earlier, and now we have learned that we are making a mistake and we can save money out here, which was getting wasted, right? This is
Sure.
a pretty typical example. The normal instinct that comes from a senior person who could be a professional boss, could be owner, why didn't you think of it earlier?
Hmm.
Now,
Hmm.
moment you say that, do you think the next idea will come to you?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
you may
I
say
agree.
anything, innovation is important, ideas are welcome. One comment like this, why didn't you think of it earlier?
Hmm. Kills it. Kills
And
it.
you will stop the flow. So I had this famous, people remember this. I always said, Jab jage tab savera.
Hmm.
I have never scolded someone. Why didn't you think of this earlier?
Right.
Always it should be. So many people who worked with me over the last 25, 30 years, they remember this. Two of my favorite quotes. One is Jab Jage Tab Savera. That is one. And second, do you think this is possible?
Hmm.
Why don't you try? So I think of some outlandish idea
Hmm.
at a performance level and say, how would it feel? I mean, do you think this is possible? I mean, just imagine if we reach there. How would it feel?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then very often I find that people start working on that idea behind my back. And then a few weeks later, I realize that they have met that thing which seemed outlandish at that point in time.
Oh,
And
great.
I've seen this happen again and again and again across various textile factories I was in and in our steel business. I mean, I knew nothing about textile. I knew
Right.
nothing about soap in Hindustan Lever. And now 16 years in steel business also, I don't know much about steel.
Hmm.
And people, my team members, they come and develop things and come up with ideas and reach performance levels which are totally unimagined.
Lovely. So you're a true enabler, I must say.
Yeah,
Great.
that I think that's what is our job because I mean, even if let's assume that you are a super genius, let's assume for a fact that
Right.
I am a super genius. I'm still one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how much can even one super genius achieve in an organization? Unless you're in R&D organization where innovation
Sure.
is that there, then maybe you can do something out there. You're creating a Steve Jobs can do something which one man is more than equivalent. But in our kind of organizations, which are regular run of the steady standard products, you can have a more specialized amongst them and so on. And quality is more. All those things are there. But you are one person. If you have a thousand people can start thinking that there is scope to improve and it is my company and I have to improve this and I have to work on this. So as an enabler, you can get far more.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now let's shift gears, Sachit. I want to talk about how did you take over the steel business, and where are you today, and what was your learning from that journey?
Okay. Steel joined the steel business in 2010.
Hmm.
We were making 50,000 tons of steel at that point in time. It was a declining business. Sales was 350 crores. We were down to 250 crores. It listed in 2012. It was born a listed company because a demerger from Vardhman Textile. It listed at a market cap of 30 crores. The
Hmm.
belief in the group was this business cannot survive, has no future. That was the belief
So it was a
across.
sick unit at that time. Can we say that?
It was not sick, but it was on its way to being sick.
Okay.
Uh, And that's the business I took charge of, because my belief was either you sell a business or you grow it. You don't keep
Or you
it.
turn around, yeah.
Yeah. And that was a challenge with which I came in. I had no idea about steel. I didn't, nothing actually, except I was
Sure.
told, and the only knowledge I had was it has no future, it cannot survive. And there was an E&Y study also which showed that compared to our competitors, our cost level was way higher, etc. So there were logical reasons why we couldn't survive. It's not that the belief was that steel
Yeah.
is bad, but
Yeah. Yeah.
our structure based in Punjab, far away from ore, far away from sources of raw material, high power cost, small size. I mean, all logical reasons.
Sure.
That's where I came in. So
And where are you today?
today we are at a market cap of 2,800 crores. From
Hmm.
30 crores. We have sales of 225,000 tons. And we are putting up a new steel plant of 500,000 tons with a 2,000 crore investment, getting into forgings. And we have the world's number one company, in my opinion, in special steel, special automotive steel, which is Toyota Group's company, IG Steel, which is a 25% owner of this company. So we are on
Yes.
a strong growth path. We will reach 1 million tons of steel capacity, which is our dream vision we set out in 2000, I think 13 or 14, 2010 itself. I set out a long-term vision of 1 million tons.
No, that's
We
congratulations. I think that's
taken us
that's
longer than it
wonderful.
should, but we will get there.
No, no, I don't think who can tell if it's taken longer, or some people spend their lifetime and not able to do it, right? So I think time is you cannot really define time. Sachin, starting at 30 and where you are today, what are the three things that you have, maybe three most important things that you've learned over this journey that you think somebody listening can replicate and maybe help their business to grow as well?
First is vision.
Hmm.
You have to be very clear of, and a vision begins with a dream first. So let me say dream. You have to dream. So that is one, because unless you are clear of where you are going and why you are going and so on. So that is one, the first part. The second part is you have to get it become a people's dream rather than your dream.
Hmm.
Very often, the top people say, "Oh, we want a sale of 5,000 crores, 10,000 crores, 20,000 crores, whatever." If you're a large organization, small organization will say 100 crores, 500 crores, 1,000 crores, whatever. Wherever you are, you set up that kind of targets. Now, that can never motivate people.
Right.
So you have to have something that which people can believe in.
Hmm.
So we set out for ourselves that we will be India's number one special steel company and a world class company. Like in the world, you say in Japan, there's Aichi Steel, there's Sanyo Steel, there's Daido. In Sweden, there is Ovako. You know, in that country, this is the company and so on. So I said anybody in the world should say in India, there's Vardhman Special Steel. Now, this is something which can motivate every individual in the company that
Got it.
this is where we want to be.
So have that vision, have the dream, have the vision, and translate it to
And
everyone in
then,
the
then you have to
organization.
get a plan, action plan about
Yeah,
it.
yeah, of
That,
course.
that how will you get there?
Sure.
So, which is why the 1 million tons came up, because I said, how do you define you're a world class company? So it was not 1
Understood.
million as a million sounds nice. No, it was a thought out strategy. If you want to be a world class company, then you have to see what are the sizes of other world class companies. And I found most of the companies that are around 1 million tons, some are 1.2, 1.4 point. That's the size of global companies. So that
Right.
became our size. We don't have any desire to be India's largest or something.
Right. Very clear
And
in
we
your
said,
vision, right?
so vision, and then the number is something which is derived from the vision. The
Hmm.
number is not the driver.
Right. Understood.
Yeah.
Understood.
Then, when you communicate with people and align with people and help people take risks and ask questions, do you think ye ho sakta hai? And if it doesn't happen, no problem. But keep
Hmm.
trying,
Hmm.
keep talking,
Hmm.
and keep challenging people wherever they are. Do you think this can become better?
Hmm.
So we never imagined that in this plant, which is 50,000 tons, that we'll be able to make 250, 270,000 tons. It was beyond our imagination.
Right.
But somebody or the other came up, sir, we think we can reach up to 100,000 tons. I said, oh, great. Give me a plan. Let's do it. And
Hmm.
somebody says, no, sir, we can go to 200,000 tons. I said, fantastic. Tell me how.
Hmm.
What do you need?
Hmm. Hmm.
Then somebody said we can go up to 240,000 tons. I said, great.
Hmm.
And then finally, somebody said we can go up to 300,000 tons. So we are on
Right.
our journey currently to 300,000 tons. None of these ideas were mine. None.
That's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Each one of these came from different individuals. And I know the individuals. I can even name the. I'm just saying, I
Right.
know this idea came from this guy said this guy said that. And no, I don't know where from their team who gave them that idea. But I mean, at the point I'm just saying is not my idea given to me by some team member or the other.
And that's what culture does, right? Once they know that they will be respected, they will be heard of, and their ideas will be respected, they are more keen to bring things on the table and work on them. So I think that's the power
And
of
and
culture.
and if you don't reach that crazy figure, no problem. If you make
Right.
a mistake in that process or taking some risk at some trial you take, and you end up losing some money or something has gone wrong, you just ask the question, have you learned those lessons? You know,
Yeah.
rather than getting angry and shouting at people and so on. It's
Right.
very important. I have had huge losses made by some mistake made. Not one person has been shouted at for the mistake made.
Yeah.
Not
It's
one person.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
And lastly, third, is I would say ultimately, unless you reward people and you help them in their journey, that you create an environment of happiness. A reward can be intangible and tangible. Intangible is, do you make them feel comfortable? Do you smile? Do you appreciate people? All these are very
Right.
important. That
Hmm.
creates a happy environment. In an environment of happiness, I believe people perform better. And as
Hmm.
they perform better, it creates more happiness and joy. And
Sure.
and it's a virtuous cycle. That's the intangible part. But tangible parts, small things, again, for the IT company, I think they say, what are you talking about? Software company will say, what are you talking about? But we started paternity leave.
Hmm.
We started leave for your marriage. I mean, you get leave, everybody gets leave, but you say you're getting married,
It's going to be a
get
paid
leave.
leave, right?
So
Yeah.
get leave for that.
Hmm.
Anyway, there's paid leave, but I mean that is your additional leave. But this is
Sure.
something else.
Right.
Housing loans we started. Uh,
Hmm.
Somebody died in COVID. An employee died, not because of COVID, some other reason. But that time we started. If somebody's worked 10 years in the company and he or she dies of any cause outside the company, in the company, whatever, two children's education till college taken care of.
Oh, wow. That's a commitment.
And if somebody dies, the spouse, if it's a woman, I mean, a man dies his wife will be offered a job subject to her qualifications.
Sure.
If she gets a better job, that's she can take that, but at least an insurance she has that. And in COVID, we did not cut any salaries.
Hmm.
We paid full, including contractor workers. We didn't remove anybody. Nobody lost their job. We said 1 year I can take care of you, even if 1 year there's nothing. Stuff like that, and you actually genuinely care. And lastly, people look for, and of course, there are also financial incentives that if you company does well, we also share some profits with people. We have stock options. So there is the financial part also.
Sure.
And the last part is from a leader is there alignment between your thoughts, your words, and your actions.
Hmm. Very well.
So are you authentic? Or
Hmm.
you because people can judge what you are thinking, what you're saying, and then your actions. If you talk about
Oh,
punctuality is an important virtue and you are 5 minutes late for a meeting, now nobody going to question the boss that, you were late. But if
right.
you are there on the dot at every meeting, everyone knows that you don't have to talk about punctuality.
Yeah. Very, very right. Very right. Very well said. That also, and some beautiful thoughts there. Let me just appreciate that, Sachin. And I also think, we had a conversation and I found it very meaningful that as leaders, I think we need to work on our own selves. Like
Oh,
a
yes.
lot is going on here, right? If we are not in control of that, no matter we know the best of the best, we can't execute anything, right? So
You
maybe
have to
maybe
be
you want to touch
self-aware.
base on that.
You have to be very, very self-aware as an individual. And
Hmm.
it's not too difficult, because we don't spend any time alone with ourselves. No? We are always busy talking to people, seeing something on some social. So I'm not on really on social media. So I have a lot of time because of that. Uh, but you need to spend time alone, and you need to enjoy nature. Like I go on high altitude treks. I enjoy that, and I enjoy time with my friends and all that kind of a thing. Family, I have a grandchild, grandson. So, these are the important things in life, but people chase outside things far more. Then you again automatically become slightly unhappy. And if you are unhappy, how can you spread happiness?
Sure, sure. I think sometimes people live a life of looking happy than being happy, right? So that's the big problem today. But yeah, yeah, very well, very well. So, any parting thoughts, such as we're almost at the end of our podcast? Any parting thoughts that you want to leave the audience with of why culture is important and what should they be doing in order to create that culture which brings happiness, prosperity, and also growth for their organization and themselves?
Okay, so first of all, I think let me say one thing. We are at a wonderful time to be in India at this point.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is something we all need to be feeling very blessed. Uh, which means next 20, 30 years, I mean, there'll be hiccups here and there, all that kind of thing will be there. But over a 20, 30-year period, this is the time for India. And three reasons why I believe that. One, we have a strong leadership, which is at least giving a vision of a developed India. Whether we reach developed India status or not is immaterial. It's a journey. We are moving towards that. And Swachh
Yeah.
Bharat. There are other things. But I'm just saying, at least that part, you have a
At least we
vision.
have the courage to dream about it. Right.
Yes. Whether you
Hmm.
make it or not, I don't care. But we will become better than where we were. Geopolitically, India is very well placed in terms of where we are. And uh, even population wise, that's the demographic that we have a young population. So, seeing that, if in this milieu, and finance is available now,
Right.
when we were young, finance was not available easily, right? The
Hmm.
young people today, you have a good idea, money is available. So, with finance available, markets growing, India is a $4 trillion economy. Next 10 years, it'll become a 10 trillion. It'll not 10 years, maybe take 11 years, 12 years, but we are getting there. So,
Sure.
there's a market. You have all the ingredients. Now, for that, then you have to start dreaming a bit big.
Hmm.
You have to start dreaming.
Hmm.
You can't inspire people by saying, next year we have to increase our sales by 10% or 15%. You can't inspire anybody by that. But you tell them, you have to help them dream. Okay, what do you dream? Where do you see this company? That feeling of getting people aligned that this is your company,
Right.
your organization. We are on it together.
Hmm.
Very often, what happens is going is good. I benefit as the owner, and you get the normal salaries and increments. But things are bad. Sorry, we have to have layoffs, and you cut salaries, and so heads I win, tails you lose.
Right.
So that has to change. You have to say, if the going is bad, we all suffer. If the going is good,
We all
we all
benefit.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying equally and all, but I'm just saying everybody benefits.
Yeah.
And
Gets
be
by, right?
authentic and enjoy yourself. Don't be in a rat race. So, for example, if somebody has become in my industry, we are targeting 1 million tons. We already two, three companies are at 2 million tons. I don't care. Let them be two, let them be three, let them be five. So
Right.
don't get influenced by what others are doing.
Yeah. The race is
You
yours.
should be
You decide
clear
that.
of where you want to go and why you want to be there. And I learned this from my father-in-law. He had said long time ago, I think 25 years ago, we will target to be $1 billion company. He never said we'll be a 5 billion or a 10 billion. And now he says maybe 1.5 or 2 maximum. And he always said that beyond a particular size, I'm talking about Vardhman Textiles, the parent company, the main company of our group. He said beyond a particular size, it becomes that diseconomies of management come in.
Hmm.
If somebody, other group has become 10 billion or 20 billion or 50 billion, doesn't matter. If somebody is richer than you, somebody's got a bigger house than you, a bigger car than you, multiple cars or whatever, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So, moment you get, I would say this is the last piece of, I would say, advice considered from a person who's seen life and who's seen the middle class life where I didn't have much, and to see a thing where I am in this situation where I am, it really doesn't matter. You need enough to have your financial security, put your kids through college, have enough to have a decent life and look after your medical, look after your parents,
Sure.
you need that.
Basics. Right.
Beyond that, it's one more zero coming in. So let's not get into it because others are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Let's try to be happy, then look happy.
Oh, one trek I do, many of my batch, I'm lucky, many of my classmates from IM come along with me on my treks. I imagine 30, we passed out in 89, so 37 years ago. And still
Mm.
there are many of us who trek together. One trek costs you 50,000 bucks or 70,000 bucks. That's it.
Yeah.
And you have a much better time than going to Europe on a vacation, I can tell you that.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Sachit, for your time. Really appreciate it. I think it's such a big topic and such an important, relevant one that we can have another episode of this. But thank you today. And